Do you believe that if the Congress party withdraws its support for the DMK government, distances itself from the DMK government, it could then become a possible ally? Would that be a precondition?
This again is a hypothetical question. If they really meant to withdraw support to the DMK, they should have done it by now. Particularly in view of Mr. Karunanidhi's statement yesterday, they should have done it by now. But they still haven't done it, which means that the Congress is just being opportunistic.
Right. Coming to that statement, he has said that Prabhakaran is a friend and not a terrorist. How do you respond to that?
A man holding a responsible position as the Chief Minister of a major state is doing a flip-flop on major issues practically every day. Particularly on this Sri Lankan Tamils issue, he has performed so many somersaults and changed track so many times that people have lost track of how many times he has totally changed his stand. Now you see the kind of statement that he has made, or the kind of statements that he's been making. They are simply outrageous. Now if these statements had been made by a younger politician, like for example say Varun Gandhi, the entire national media would have come down on him like a ton of bricks. He would have been condemned by every senior political leader. Every political party worth its salt would have issued statements of condemnation. Probably he might have been arrested. Now this is what happened in the case of Varun Gandhi. But here in Mr. Karunanidhi's case, the general attitude seems to be that after all, he's such an old man, well into his 80s, just a doddering old man. That is why he is coming out with one somersault after the other, one flip-flop after the other, and one outrageous statement after the other. Each statement he makes is more outrageous than the last. I wonder whether he would be able to explain these statements himself.
Do you agree with that point?
We fully support the Sri Lankan Tamilians' cause. The Tamil people of Sri Lanka have been treated very shabbily by the Sri Lankan government. We support their fight for justice, for equality in every way, along with the Sinhala citizens. Now we believe that wherever the Sri Lankan Tamils constitute the majority of the population in Sri Lanka, they should be given full administrative powers in those areas. Failing which, I have said in our election manifesto, we will press for a separate Eelam state to be formed. Therefore, this does not mean that we condone or support terrorism. I have always been very clear and categorical in saying that the All India Anna DMK will not support or condone terrorism in any form, no matter who may practice it.
Right. Sri Perumbudur, you were a Rajiv Gandhi ally. Do you believe that Sri Perumbudur can be forgotten when we look at the Sri Lankan Tamil?
As I said, this is something which should be answered by the Congress. This should be answered by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi rather than myself.
Your ally, Vaiko, has said that Sri Perumbudur can be forgotten.
I do not agree with that. I do not agree with that at all.
And do you believe that while talking of the Sri Lankan Tamil issue, we need to de-link looking at the LTTE at one point of view and Sri Lankan Tamil cause?
This is what I've been saying all along. Yes. I believe that the Sri Lankan Tamil issue should be de-linked from terrorism.
And hence LTTE as well, at a larger sense.
I will restrict myself to these words.
When Vaiko had made a speech, sedition charges were filed against him. Do you believe that the state government and the police should now file charges for this statement? Do you find this statement unacceptable?
Which statement?
That Prabhakaran is a friend and a terrorist.
When a chief minister himself makes a statement like this, which is simply outrageous, How do you expect the state police to take action against their own chief minister? It's not possible. It cannot be done. That is why I am saying this is a question that should be put to the central government. You should put this question to Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and to Dr. Manmohan Singh and ask them what they intend to do about it.
So you're saying that your...
Now, Veer Raghav, you are putting all these questions to me. I am not a part of the UPA. I am not a part of the central government. I am not even an alliance partner of the Congress. You are asking me these questions and I am coming out with direct, clear answers. Why is it Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is remaining silent? Is she not the Congress president? Is she not the widow of Rajiv Gandhi? Is she not the chairperson of the UPA? She should come out with clear, explicit answers on these questions, and she should tell the nation what she feels about it, Mr. Karunanidhi's latest statements, and she should also tell the nation what she proposes to do about it as the president of the Congress party and as the chairperson of the UPA.
One last question on this issue. Do you believe that if the Congress has to be true to the memory of Rajiv Gandhi, they need to leave their alliance with the people?
They need to search their own conscience. Why are you asking me about it? So I never wanted to be in politics. I would have very much liked to be a lawyer, or I would have been a very good academician.
People like Joe Ramaswamy, when we were talking to them, said that you were probably a reluctant politician.
Not probably.
You were.
Truly a most reluctant entrant into politics. I never wanted to be in politics.
Would you have liked being a lawyer?
I would have very much liked to be a lawyer, or I would have been a very good academician.
But why did politics happen to you?
Because of Dr. MGR. Because he literally compelled me to join politics to help him. He persuaded me.
Do you enjoy it today?
I don't enjoy politics. I'm doing my duty. I'm doing my duty to the party, to my party cadres, to the people of the state, to the people of the nation. If you really want to know the truth, I have been pushed into two high-profile professions, two high-profile careers, which I never would have chosen if I'd been allowed to choose for myself.
Your critics would say that you're inaccessible, that in your style of government it's sort of dictatorial. How would you respond?
Any leader always has supporters as well as critics. Now that is democracy. In a democracy, whoever gets the majority of the vote becomes the leader, the MLA or the MP or whatever. Nowhere has anyone been able to get 100% support. It just doesn't happen. So out of 6 lakh votes, you may get 4 lakh votes or something. It depends on the percentage. So critics are always bound to be there. Carping critics will always be there. There are many people who just can't bear to see a woman being powerful or successful. Some people just can't bear to see a woman considered intelligent and strong and dynamic. They just don't like it. Many people simply don't like taking orders from a woman. That's still there. That's the only reason Hillary Clinton didn't win the nomination in America from her party, because she was a woman. Otherwise, in every way, she was most suited to be the President of the United States. So that attitude is there not only in India, it's there in other countries also.
You know,
Now, as far as being inaccessible is concerned, am I inaccessible to you?
No, I'm talking about the aura around you, ma'am, when you go around, people...
In today's...
I feel that that's a shield because you're a woman.
It's not something that I consciously do. I have not consciously tried to project any kind of image. I'm just being myself. Now, in order to be a successful leader of a very large party, we have 1.5 crore members in our party. I can show you the membership lists and the list of numbers of membership cards. It's genuine. because we have just renewed our membership. We have 1.5 crore members in our party. Now, to keep a tight grip on such a large mammoth party is no easy task. So, in order to be able to run such a party successfully and steer it to victory, you've got to be tough, you've got to be strong, many times you have to be ruthless, you also have to be compassionate, you also have to be considerate. I am all of these things. But, most importantly, unless you are strong and tough, and 100 times more so if you happen to be a woman, you just can't cope with the pressures of a political career. You just cannot run a large party like this. And having been the Chief Minister, I can also say, you cannot govern a state, you cannot administer a state well unless you are strong and tough. So I have to be strong, I have to be tough. Now, when I am strong and tough, and when I run my party successfully, and when I give a good, efficient administration, instead of people appreciating my performance, they say, oh, she's tough, she's autocratic, she's dictatorial, and so on and so forth. If I had not been any of these things, if I had given a weak, inefficient administration, if I were not able to keep a grip on my party, they would have said, oh, she's a failure because she's a woman. That's it.
In 1999, you pulled down the BJP government. That's resulted in an impression that you are possibly an unreliable ally. Would you say that things have changed from 1999?
Things have definitely changed. No one remains static or stagnant. People grow. As the years go on, I have grown, evolved, I have developed a lot of maturity, and I have gained a lot of experience that comes only with time, and I have gained a lot of knowledge also, and definitely I am a very different person from what I was 10 years ago. I am growing, I am evolving all the time, and because something happened 10 years ago doesn't necessarily mean the same thing will happen again. And as to my being a dependable or undependable ally, time will prove what I am.
Anyway, thanks very much for talking to us. As always, as candid as ever. Thanks for watching.